Well, good Tuesday morning, 4 minutes past the hour of 10 o'clock. We're up to 79 degrees here at the KRIM studios on West Frontier in Payson. On this morning's edition of Community Spotlight, as we do once a month, we're talking about the habits of healthy, happy people. And to talk more about that with us, Erlene Tilton and Donna Lynn Williams with us in the studio. How are you ladies doing this morning?
Pretty groovy.
Absolutely awesome.
Pretty groovy. All right. Like boss, man.
I know. We were saying the temperature's a little bit cooler. I feel like
well, you got to be cool, right?
Right.
Yeah. This could go downhill in a hurry. The topic this morning is something that I found just looking over the talking point notes this morning. I think this is really going to be fascinating for everybody. I certainly has been interesting to me because I think there's we've been talking a lot in the past year about foods and stuff, but today a little bit more of a focus on some of the things that we apply to our skin, and I think after reading through these notes, I've been kind of blindly doing that,
Right.
and that's what this is all about, trying to get people back on track when it comes to being careful with what you put on your skin.
Well, the truth is most people never take thought, like you're saying, to what they put on their skin. So
They sell it in the store, it's got to be good.
that's right.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the thought that they take. If it's on the shelf, it must be safe. And basically they're slathering on lotions and sunscreens, hand sanitizers, insect repellent, all kinds of perfumes, all of these things. Do we know if they're safe? And people, act like they're okay, but are they really?
Right.
And they're, our FDA here in the United States, they probably have only banned maybe 11, 15 different chemicals, where the European Union, 1,300. Like,
Wow.
why? Why is there a difference?
That's a big
But,
difference.
like even in their meat packing, they have higher standards than we do.
Mhm.
So it's time to take control. I mean, you might not want to go and fight all these big companies, but you can start reading labels.
Right.
And that's what this is kind of all about today, because I found it quite surprising just reading through the talking notes of how many things that I think many of us view as just normal everyday things that we might have in the cabinet at home or something, that
Absolutely.
maybe we need to really rethink that.
And
We
how
need
long
to-
they lasted in the cabinet is another scary
Absolutely.
thought.
Bought this one back in '53.
Right, and I'm still using it as my sunscreen,
Yeah,
it's
right.
like,
Well, and that's one of the first ones is sunscreen, right?
Right. First, I wanted to bring out that years ago, I watched a video called Unacceptable Levels, and I think you still can find it on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, the producer named Ed Brown, he actually talked about how there's 80,000 chemicals out there on the market. And basically, these are unregulated. Like she was saying, the FDA only approves 11 out of 1,300 that the European market does not approve. So we've got 80,000 chemicals on the market. They're going in our food, our drinks, in our consumer products,
Mhm.
for our skin, and they've never been tested. We don't know whether they're safe or whether they're not. And the more research, they say, well, if they're in large doses, they can be toxic and lethal. But now they're coming out and saying, even in minute portions, they can be hormone disruptors, they can change our genetic patterns. That means emotion, mood,
central nervous system,
yes,
brain cell.
our behavior, children especially, are being affected in this way. And we had talked about this and how chemicals affect children in a couple of months ago.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that, but we don't realize that this can affect fertility. It can affect our genetic patterns over and across the board. So are we really, and this is what they were saying, even in minute portions, this can really affect all of those different areas. So it's something to really pay attention to.
Well, and when it comes to like the stuff that we slather on our skin, I mean, our skin is the biggest organ in our body.
It definitely is.
And it just kind of makes sense that maybe we ought to be a little careful about the stuff that we put on.
Because we don't think of it as an organ, so
Right.
it's, and then so you're doing all this, and your like, when does it stop? When do you start? When do you hear about parents that say, we had to give this up because of why? Because something started to happen to their babies, or they had breakouts of some sort. When do you stop and start to take control? Like, what do you do then?
Right.
Why wait until you have a problem?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. Now, obviously, I mean, I think the numbers that you're talking about are pretty shocking as far as the vast number of things that are not allowed over in the European Union, but that are easily allowed here. I think anybody's got to stop and wonder, well, why is that?
Why do companies use these?
Well, they use them for so many reasons. Like, first of all, for shelf life, because they can be, you can, like I said, you can find stuff that you've been using, like, sunscreen that you've had for years. The way a product looks, how creamy it might be, or, we're just been conditioned to look at products and say that looks great, or it foams well, or
It's on sale.
right, whatever.
Or it smells good.
It smells good, and we can change that. We can create our own products without chemicals and have it be so much healthier for you. And then, of course, we also will talk about later, but when your body is healthier, not just by what you're putting on your skin, but when you really take control and you help your liver to be able to function better and you eat better foods, your body can withstand a lot of these chemicals easier. That's why, but our babies, you want to take care of them.
Sure.
For sure.
Yeah, makes sense. So where do we start? What do we want to talk about
Well,
first? We got a number of things to hit on here.
Let's start with the sunscreens. And that's definitely a hot thing right now. Everybody's out in the sun and they're using sunscreens, especially, in this state. I found very interesting information from EWG.org, which is Environmental Working Group, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But basically, they did a comparison back in 1975, 7.9 people out of 1,000 were getting skin cancer. So what did we do? We started putting all these sunscreens on the market. We didn't see them before 75, but afterwards we started putting all these sunscreens on the market, and guess what? 2010, we have 24.9, which is triple the amount of skin cancer than we did back in 1975. And so we've got to ask ourselves, now that we've been using all these sunscreens, what has happened to create 3 times more skin cancer than before? I mean, to me, that's pretty alarming, especially since what they've said is 75% of the sunscreens that are on the market are full of toxic chemicals, and as toxic as they may be, they're totally ineffective. And I've seen that. I've seen that people go out, they slather on the sunscreen, and they come back burned anyway. And it's like, well, what?
Right.
Are they working? They're toxic, and they're not working. So, what's the solution to this?
I mean, the sun isn't a bad guy because we all need it.
Sure.
So the idea, first of all, is that you should still go out. You should still be in the sun. If you're out there from, 10 to 30 minutes a day walking and getting that vitamin D3,
Sure.
then you're in good shape. But the idea is that if your body is also, like I was saying, if you're eating right and you boost your immune system, you're going to be able to fight some of those, the sun's rays of what it can do to you.
Right.
And then you need to apply something that will be less chemical, based.
Well, I know, having been born and raised in Arizona, and being of Norwegian ancestry, where I can get a sunburn looking out the window.
Right.
Reading
the word sun.
exactly. Trying to protect yourself against that has always been a big thing. And I guess I never really thought anything past, the SPF. SPF
levels.
thing. As far as level of protection, never even thought about the fact that there's stuff in there that really ain't good for you.
Right. Well, the thing that I learned several years ago as I started looking into what the liver does.
Right.
So basically, if we're eating a lot of toxic chemicals, which most people are, and they're consuming a lot of toxic drinks, and then on top of that, they're applying all this stuff on, well, basically it creates a toxic liver. And the liver, once it becomes really toxic, and it does this anyway, it throws out those toxins into the bloodstream. Well, we go out in the sun, and guess what happens? It grabs that, it hits your skin and pulls that actually to the surface. So we may blame the sun for all these skin spots and skin cancer when actually it's really our toxic liver. So we really have to understand that that's where we have to work. Getting rid of the chemicals to begin with is really the first step.
And you know, the liver is like it's your largest organ inside, and it is almost, it's a little bit between 2 and 3% of what your whole body is, as far as the rest of your organs. I mean, that weighs a lot in your system, so you need to be kind to it.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
So, sorry. So my motto is protect the sun, or protect your skin, and respect the sun. And this is where I like,
Quote,
this
unquote.
is called, this is called my Ultimate Skin Protection Oil. I love this. It's got 2 ounces of fractionated coconut oil, which fractionated means they've removed the solid parts. And then I've added 20 drops of lavender, pure lavender essential oil. I had a friend that did it with cheap stuff and it didn't work, so I know that you have to have the pure stuff. So pure 20 drops of the lavender, 8 drops of the helichrysum, which is also really good for skin protection.
The what?
Helichrysum.
Helichrysum essential oil. And then 2 drops of rose, or this is diluted, so 4 or 5 drops. So you put this in together, and so this is kind of a fun example. I love to share this about my 2 redheaded grandkids. They came up to visit, and Mom, we were going to go out for the day, and I was talking to Mom on the phone, and she was saying, you've got to make sure and cover them with sunscreen. I says, Tanya, I don't do that. I refuse to use sunscreen. So she was saying, you're going to be sorry, whatever. So I slapped this all over my redheaded grandkids, all over their skin. We go out. We were invited to, go to the creek, picnic, play in the water. We were out there for way longer than I thought. And as we were walking out, we were just on the trail. I looked at these 2 kids glowing red skin. And I thought, I'm in trouble. So I said, stop. So I got my, skin protection oil out. I slathered it all over them again. And that night before they went to bed, I put it on again. In the morning, they had no redness at all. And I thought, you know what, this stuff really works. It really works. And the thing is that's what I love about essential oils. They protect your skin so you can respect the sun. I mean, let's use some head scents. Let's not stay out there for 6 hours, and expect sunscreen to do its job,
Right.
Let's protect our skin with something that will nourish and not add all those extra chemicals that are creating those free radicals that create more skin damage.
You put it on and it absorbs.
Right.
Where does it go?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Well, as
it's
someone who
amazing.
I not only have a redheaded daughter, but I have 2 redheaded grandchildren. So I mean, dealing with the sun has been something that has been a challenge, for us for a long time. So I think this is really interesting. Is there, out of these different ones that you're using for sun protection, like the fractionated coconut, is there one particular thing that's doing the majority of the work as far as protecting you against the sun?
Definitely the lavender.
Lavender.
It's really good for prevent burns, but it's also good to actually apply after the burn. So this is why the Ultimate Skin Protection Oil you can actually put on before you go out as a protection, but also after you come back. And it adds that healing element to it, which is exactly what we want. So that's why I love it so much. And this is excellent for diaper rash too, or any type of rashes, skin conditions, because it's really good. It's just really soothing to your skin and just can help regenerate.
So obviously this is going to help you from peeling and all of that kind of stuff.
Oh,
too.
absolutely.
Very
Absolutely.
interesting. Wow.
Very, very good for that type
Very
of thing.
interesting. Okay, and I want to remind listeners too that while we're only with you for a half hour here on KRIM on the radio, we're going to be going into our second half hour here in a little bit on KRIM FM's Facebook page. So we've got a lot more to share with you this morning, so you might want to consider switching over to Facebook and checking us out there again at KRIM FM on Facebook. Okay, so where do we go next? We did sunscreen.
Insect repellent?
Insect. Now that's another thing too. I mean, you guys are hitting some stuff that's really near and dear to me. Let me just preface this with my other work takes me to a lot of strange places in the world. And first trip into India, first night there, I got some mosquito bites on top of my left hand, and instead of turning into your typical little red itchy bump, they turned into big wet blisters. And I remember looking at my hand thinking, that ain't right. So long story endless, when I finally come back to the United States, the doctor that I was working with said, we had to take a blood sample from you and send it off to the CDC because you've been exposing yourself to some weird stuff. And we did. And sure enough, I tested positive for echinococcus, which is a parasite that comes from horses via mosquitoes, and also another one, filarial parasite that comes from birds via mosquitoes. And left unchecked, the filarial parasites turns into elephantitis, and the other turns into a liver sleeping disease. And it's like, and it was just a 1 day's dose of pills through the CDC, and boom, that's all gone. But had I not checked that, holy guacamole! So in the meantime, to finally make my point, I mean, I'm pretty obsessed with insect control when I'm in some of these places.
Right.
So I'm anxious to hear what you got and how it works.
Okay.
Well, I'm not really sure. I'll just say that what we might come up with would, fight off elephant whatever that was. But, the thing is that we're all, everybody goes to the name brands, which I don't even remember what they are, but they all have DEET. Everybody
Right.
knows about DEET. And, it's...
More DEET the better. Give me 100% DEET.
Right, and it's gonna keep those nasty things away. But the problem is the FDA even has said it's a carcinogen.
Ooh.
And we slather our bodies, and that's another product that can affect your central nervous system, can mess with brain cells, and there's other
Maybe that's
chemicals
what's wrong with me.
right? And there's other chemicals. I don't even. Oh, and I just saw my note about that DEET has been known to even melt plastic.
Really?
Yeah.
And yet we're going to put that on our skin.
Right.
We're going to put it on our skin. So
Yeah.
there's also permethrin, which is another popular ingredient
Right?
in our insect repellents. That is also another known carcinogen. It can kill brain cells. It can cause tumors. So, if we got to understand that if things kill, if they're killing mosquitoes and bugs and whatever,
What's it doing to me?
what's it doing to me?
Right.
Have we ever asked ourselves those questions? So we need to ask ourselves, if it's killing things and it's melting plastic, what is it doing to my body? This is where we need to really take note.
That's kind of freaking me out because, if DEET melts plastic, I would think plastic would be a bit more resilient than our skin. That's kind of spooky.
That really is. So basically, I started using this essential oil blend TerraShield several years ago. And the thing I love about it is, number one, it smells good. And I always think insect repellents smell so bad.
It does, and that doesn't smell bad at all.
Right.
They smell nice, but insect repellents are stinky
Right.
and they're sticky. And this is
Yeah,
neither
no,
one. So
I
what
love
I
this.
do is I actually take a few drops, I put kind of a little bit of a puddle in my hands, and I just kind of rub it all over, the exposed areas before I go outside. And I go out in the garden and, or going out wherever we are, and it works really well. But I had a friend, actually, Jara, she lives in Georgia, and her kids went out one night, they were just getting bit terribly. And so she decided to make a spritzer bottle, and actually she did this 2-ounce spritzer bottle, and she added 10 drops of the TerraShield, so that every time her kids went out, she just spritzed them all over anywhere where their skin was exposed. And you can do this even in your face, because you can feel like you're, these are safe. These are essential oils that are safe. And she said, they went to fireworks and everybody else was using, she says it stunk so bad with all the insect repellents, but I was spritzing this and all my kids had no bug bites. Everybody else did. And I had another friend tell me that she and her family members went to a pageant and they just got the regular TerraShield, and she was putting it all over her, and they were putting all this insect repellent on, and they were kind of poo-pooing her, well, why don't you use the real stuff kind of thing. And halfway through it, they were just getting bit so much, they asked her for hers. And
Wow.
they said they couldn't believe how well this worked. So
Yeah, that is amazing.
Just
And
the fact
it also, to kind of blow some more wind into your sails, you know, with some of the different insect repellents that I've seen, you have to be real careful not to get it around really sensitive skin, like your eyelids and things like that, because it'll hurt you. So if it's messing with that, then wouldn't it be messing with everything?
it would be messing with everything. And that's why, again, protect your skin. Work to protect your skin with what you're putting on you, because that's the ultimate goal. I mean, people say, well, it doesn't really matter, it must be safe, or it wouldn't be a product. Well, most of our producers don't really care what they're putting in their products. They care about selling you the product, and they don't care about what happens after that. So you have to be proactive to make sure that you care enough about your skin so that later down the road you're not sorry and have skin cancer or have some of these other defects and genetic disruptions that we don't want.
Even at the most rudimentary level, I'd rather smell like that than some of the other stuff I've seen with
Right,
insect
exactly.
repellents. I mean, again, I'm pretty obsessive about this because some of the places that I've been to, I mean, there's a lot of malaria, dengue fever, things like that are mosquito-borne that I so far have managed to dodge. But I mean, it's scary stuff.
But, you know, there's an ease in, you know, people say, well, they can buy bug spray at the dollar store, so why are they gonna invest in this besides the fact that these are no chemicals? But the idea of being able to purchase good organic essential oils, they might be a little bit more money up front, but the value will go into so many products, the way we make foods, and we use them in our lotions, and you can use them in a diffuser, so you aren't wasting the product, you know, like buying one of these that might be a little expensive, and you buy these plastic bottles or the glass sprayers, you're gonna come out ahead. And if you stop purchasing, you know, like your money is, you know, how do they say it? Your money is
Your dollar is your vote.
Yeah,
Oh,
you know,
there you go.
basically, thank you.
Yeah.
Then these companies are gonna start to change because you're not gonna be buying them, and they're gonna hear your voice
Right? Well,
by not purchasing.
hit them in the pocketbook. Makes
Yep.
perfect sense. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Interesting.
Mhm.
Well, golly, I mean, it just makes a whole heck of a lot of sense, especially like you say, your friends found out it actually works.
Yes.
Right.
So
They did.
why expose yourself to all
And
these
two
other toxic
examples,
chemicals?
it was just, they could see it worked way better.
Hmm.
So, and I've seen
It
it too.
smells a lot better than some of the stuff I've seen.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, so interesting. So now we've talked about the sunscreen and bug repellents. And I know one of the other things that you wanted to talk about this morning is hand sanitizer.
Right.
And even mouthwash and different aerosols can be a problem for us.
Yes, there's one ingredient, triclosan,
Right.
Easy for you to
is
say.
actually in a lot of things, and I think that people have been kind of aware of that for many years. And I think some of the things they've tried to take it out because, you know, it's been touted as something that's very harmful and dangerous.
Like I just read where Colgate took it out of their toothpaste 2 years ago, so you
Only 2
know.
years ago.
Only
Yeah.
2 years ago, but, so you know a lot of these regular name brand companies are probably still using them. And of course, we've been using hand sanitizer a lot in the last year and a
Yeah, I
half.
know a
I
lot of
betcha.
So,
people are, so.
You know, if you're not making it yourself, then you're probably using one of these, and it's very dangerous.
So triclosan specifically is very similar to Agent Orange. And
Whoa.
if a lot of people are not familiar with Agent Orange, it's because you didn't live through the Vietnam War era.
Yeah, I know of at least one or two people that died from exposure to that.
And we had a very good friend that, oh my gosh, it was so sad to see him suffering with skin as well as organ. It shuts down your organs as well. It's a very, very dangerous chemical. So we've got triclosan in all of our hand sanitizers. I think they're trying to, remove that a lot because, like I said, it's been so dangerous. But it really is an endocrine disruptor. It's hormonal imbalance. It affects negatively humans as well as animals. So it's something to completely stay away from in our hand sanitizers.
And then you got the parabens, which are also endocrine disruptor. Here's something, they use that also to extend shelf life. But the other thing is, you're putting this on your skin, you're lathering your body up with lotion, and it can be causing your body to, what the hormone receptors do is that it mimics estrogen in your system, not just for women, but for men, and then for young children, and things can start to develop where they shouldn't develop, or they can cause lumps and breast
Wow.
cancers and things like that. And there's a lot of them. I can't even remember all the names. The methylparaben, butyl paraben, propylene, they're all just nasty.
Wow.
They're another thing that you need to go to that website that you talked about.
EWG.org. It's really good because I like the fact that you can take your own products and put them in, and they probably already have them in their system, and they can tell you if they're safe or not, or
Right.
how safe they are.
And that web address again is?
EWG.org.
And you go under like cosmetic, and then you
Right.
put in that drug or that chemical, and it will tell you what's not so good about it.
Oh, that's
And then the other thing about the hand sanitizers is that propyl glycol and propylene, and they're also in the hand sanitizers. They're just very commonly used things that you can stay away from. You can make your own.
And we're going to talk a little bit more about this. We have to take a fast break here. On the radio, we're going to go back to our regular music programming, but you can follow along, and this is fascinating stuff. I'm anxious to hear the next chapter here, and I know you are too. So feel free to follow us along at KRIM FM on Facebook, and we got another half hour of information coming your way. In the meantime, here on KRIM, going to get you back to more of your favorite music. Have some tunes coming up from the Hollies, Eric Clapton, Kenny Loggins, In Excess, and a whole bunch more. But first, a quick look at RIM Country weather.
Oh, time is already up, huh?
Just
Okay.
the yappers.
Back
we
to the
can,
back room. Okay. We'll be with you in just a sec.
Oh, it's much cooler out here. Oh, you got it? Yeah.
A few wind gusts to 20 miles an hour. Low tonight, 64. Temps cool a bit in the latter half of the week with daily highs.
We have how many seconds here?
Okay. All right, so now we've talked a little bit about hand sanitizer. We've talked about, sunscreen. And there's a lot of things. I don't know about anyone else, but these are things that I've used on a regular basis, and to find out that it's kind of bad stuff, and that you can still have very good results with just using essential oils and variations on that theme to get the exact outcome that you want without all of these nasty chemicals added in. I think, to me, I want to learn more.
Okay, well, one of the things we like to really help people understand is that, really protecting your skin starts from within. And we've got to eat healthy foods. That's what's going to help cleanse out the toxins that we end up breathing or anything that we put on our skin. So healthy eating is huge because it really produces a clean liver. And remember, that's where the toxins end up, is in your liver. And that's what comes out on your skin. So if we can start with clean eating, this is where, healthy skin starts, and especially in the summertime. And there's a lot of healthy ways to do parfaits. So we're going to do 3 of them today. Okay. So my first one is actually, my grandkids come up to our place. They love coming. In fact, this is our grandkids week this week, starting this afternoon. We have 17 grandkids coming up.
Holy moly.
Plus parents.
Blessings.
And, so there's going to be, 25 plus of us there at our home. And one of the things that my grandkids always ask for is the yogurt fruit. And if Back to Basics doesn't have it, you can always order it. It's coconut milk, so it's non-dairy. If you prefer other kinds of yogurt, you can always do that.
Absolutely.
But I just like the non-dairy, and I love this. To me, it's one of the cleanest brands. So, to a little bit more than a cup, and I can actually serve this as at events. It's just a fun thing for people. They just love it. A couple of drops of wild orange essential oil.
While you're doing that, let me just say that the wild orange essential oil that I purchased recently is almost empty. The tin.
Fast foods, the processed foods,
Right.
all those drinks. So these are chemical free, and then we got our essential oils to actually accelerate the cleansing process, as well as they're alkalizing, they're gut stimulating. And that's why we add our essential oils, because they provide additional benefits. They've only got positive benefits. They're not all those negative benefits that the chemicals have.
And now this one I have never made before, I'm going to be honest, but this is one of her favorites as well. So you also use another glass and you can layer it. This has already been mixed with the coconut milk yogurt, and it has shredded coconut in it as well already in here, and some ginger and lemon essential
A little
oil.
bit of sweetening.
And
Ginger.
monk fruit is also in here.
Oh, wow.
Yes, just a little bit. And the ginger is also good for digestion. So
Wow.
we're going to put a little bit in here. I could have been doing this while I was talking. And then this is pureed berries
Ooh.
and also a pureed pineapple.
Crushed
Oh, wow.
Crushed. Yes.
That sounds tasty.
And then you've got a little bit more in there.
Nice.
But you could probably
Got some
put
protein.
something else in there, right? And then we'll do a little bit more. See, I'm telling you,
Get the whole layer thing going.
this is it, baby.
Yeah. And that's what's fun about parfaits. I mean, you can just layer them, just keep layering them however you like, and
It's interesting, but
it's fun.
but they're also really tasty.
And then I'll put a little bit more in, and then you can just top it off with some fresh pineapple. Oops. Oh, there you go. There you go.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yay! So,
All right, let
go.
me- Right.
And so it's nice and crunchy and super tasty. So it's just really